Once again, welcome to the 2013 banquet for our football, Emeralds, and cheer teams. And what a great bunch of kids and coaches that we have here. We're extremely fortunate to have, like I said earlier, the great kids that we have. We're extremely fortunate to have the great coaches that we have that put in a lot of time for a few nickels. But it's just a testament to our community as a whole, once again. So I'm not going to do a lot of talking this evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to leave that up to the coaches. And speaking of coaches, before I turn it over to our cheer coaches, we're going to go ahead and introduce all of these people here up at the head table. I was asked to have you guys stand as I introduce you. You can just stand up for a second, sit down so that they can see you there in the back. We'll start to my far left over here. We've got our fall assistant cheer coach, Rachel Wilson. To her right, our head fall cheer coach, Ashley Grind. To her right, our Emeralds coach, going solo, it's Brittany Ramirez. To her right, one of our two JV football coaches, Jared Bonnell. To my immediate left, our other JV football coach, Adam Sherry. And over to the good-looking side, right? No offense over there. To my immediate right here, we've got head football coach, Bob Stolzer. Gotta stand up there, coach. To his right, we've got our offensive coordinator at the varsity level, Bob Weiler. We got our first year volunteer coach, Joey Lewandowski. And to his right, our other volunteer coach, Tyson Roth. And when I say volunteer, these guys don't just show up when it's convenient or when they can. They're here all the time and they do it for absolutely nothing, so we greatly appreciate their help. To his right, one of our two freshman football coaches, Steve Abishon. And last but not least, our other freshman coach, Mr. Cody Schwent. We're rocking out the Bow Tie Tuesday. Okay, we're going to go ahead and turn it over to our cheer coaches first. Are you both talking this evening, or just Coach Grind, or both of them? Okay, both ladies are going to talk, and I'm going to turn it over to them, and when they're finished, I'll come back up just very briefly.
Good evening, my name is Ashley Grind and I'm the head coach for the cheerleading squad this fall. This is Mrs. Rachel Wilson, as Coach Nick said, the assistant coach for fall. I would like to begin by saying a few thank yous. Coach Wilson for all of her help throughout the season, for not only myself but as well as the girls. Mr. Nix for all of his guidance and kind words about our squad this season, as well as our cheer parents. Our cheer parents put out chairs for us for homecoming. They help haul things for us all the time. They sit through all of our fundraisers, and they even go through McDonald's to get us through homecoming. So we began our cheer season during the summer with practice, and we also went to NCAA cheer camp for the first time this year at SEMO. During cheer camp, these girls literally work from 8 a.m. in the morning till about 9 or 10 at night, with just a few short breaks for lunch and dinner. They do lots of classes such as like dance class, jumps, stunts, even motions to sharpen up on those. Your cheerleaders work very hard most of their season to get ready for homecoming. Homecoming preparation starts about the second week of August and ends after the girls do 4 pep assemblies, a parade, and cheer at a football game, all on homecoming Friday. They also make the many signs and locker decals that you see hanging around our school. The group of girls we had this year truly became a family. They got along and always stood up to do what was best for our school and our sports teams. I may be a little biased, however, I feel that our squad this year was outstanding. Girls, this all comes down to you. You all worked very hard this year, and everyone could see that when you performed. Even though I constantly told you to jump more and be louder, you girls did a fantastic job this season. I would also like to mention that we had two very deserving and responsible captains this year, Miss Emma Hoover and Miss Stevie Shelton. These girls were great leaders and were always there to help the rest of the squad. Along with Emma and Stevie, Anastasia Gegg is our other senior this season, and it has been a great pleasure to coach these girls the past 2 years, and I have enjoyed them each very much. And for the awards.
All right, girls, when you hear your name, please come up and get your varsity letter from Coach Grine, and then make a line in front of the head table. Okay? First up, we have Katrina Boland. Okay, next we have Jodessa Bowman. Jennifer Burr. Jessie Senatiempo. Ashley Kreider. Anastasia Gegg. Jenna Grieshaber. Erin Hayward. Julia Hayward. Danielle Hefner. Emma Hoover. Amanda Kastner. Georgia McCrane. Drew Moore. Caitlin Roth. Stevie Shelton. Ashlyn Wilson. All right, and now we have some awards to give out to some of our girls. We have the Miss Cheerleader, which goes to Jessie. Our Miss Spirit goes to Katrina. The Most Improved goes to Danielle. And our Best Jumps goes to Ashlyn. All righty, thank you so much, girls.
Okay, thank you, ladies. Our cheer and emeralds groups are a very unique group in that they are really our only two sports groups that don't compete. You know, all of our other sports get the opportunity to earn wins and to get statistics and things like that. And our cheer teams, they thrive basically on just self-improvement and supporting our other sports teams. So they're very unique and very much appreciated. Which leads me to our other group, and that is the Emeralds. So Coach Ramirez, come on up.
Hello. Good evening. I am Coach Brittany Ramirez, and on behalf of the Emeralds and myself, I would like to thank our friends, family, and the St. John faculty for all their support throughout the fall season. I would like to take a second to talk about one of my proudest moments coaching the Emeralds. And it would have to be during homecoming day when they were performing their hip hop routine and all of a sudden their music just stopped. And instead of freaking out and running off to the side, they kept going, and everybody was in sync, and they just looked awesome. So that was one of my proudest moments. Now I'd like to introduce my team. When you hear your name, please come up. Senior Captain Emily Bonert. Freshman, oh wait, other senior. Senior Mackenzie Roth. Haley Sitter. Shelby Morgan. Samantha Campbell. My juniors, Alyssa Venz. Emma DeLapp. Michaela Campbell. Madison Buckeye. My sophomores, Caitlin Yunt. Madison Dury. My freshmen are Deandra Boland. Hunter Banks. And Michaela Brillos. And my assistant manager is Emily Nicholson. All right, when I got the coaching position, I wasn't really sure what group of girls I was going to get. So now I'm able to describe them to you. So I will start with my senior, Emily Bonert. She is a great leader and a friend to all the girls. Shelby Morgan is very emotional and she has a very big heart. Samantha is very helpful and secretly stylish. Haley is sweet and respectful. Mackenzie is smart and focused. Madison Buckeye is very hardworking. Michaela Campbell is a diva and graceful when she falls. Emma DeLapp is a firecracker. She gives it her all when she performs, even on, like when she's in practice, she gives it her all, and then when she's on the field, she gives it her all. So she's a firecracker. Alyssa is very confident. Madison Jury is an alien from another planet. I mean, she's just hilarious, and I love her. Caitlin Yunt gets really excited about things, and her cheeks get really red when she's embarrassed. Michaela Brillos shows a lot of leadership, and I'm very, very proud of her. I'm just proud of you. Hunter is very passionate, and she is very sassy, so watch out. Deandra is quiet, but very determined. Emily Nicholson is Mama Bear and very organized. So that's my team. I would like to hand out my medal awards now. Yes, all right, great. The most improved dancer would have to be Madison Jury. Madison no longer looks like a deer in the headlights. She has improved so much. Her technique has improved. She's got great leaps, great flexibility. I love her. She's never fails to make the team laugh yeah, she's just. The Emerald Award goes to Samantha Campbell. Samantha Campbell is someone who I think embodies what an emerald should be like. She's honest, helpful, polite, and she's always willing to go the extra mile for someone else. The Leadership Award goes to Michaela Campbell. Homecoming, she could not perform any of the pep rallies, sidelines, the routine we worked on forever because she broke her finger playing powder puffs. So a lot of the girls just look up to her, and I can see that. So I'm excited to see what you're going to do next year. The sideline award goes to Shelby Morgan. Shelby showed the best attitude at games and performances. She was always smiling and giving her best, just giving it her best. Just overall showed great sportsmanship, so good job. And lastly, at the beginning of the season, the team had picked someone who they felt could lead their team and be a good example to them, and the captain award goes to Emily Bonert. I'm very proud of my team so far, not only for their hard work at practice, but for their friendships they have built with one another. They've become a family, so yay, we're done. Go team.
Coach Ramirez kept telling me how nervous she was several times, and I think she did a great job. So thank you, Coach Ramirez. And now we move on to football at this point. So we're going to go with freshman football starting first. I believe Coach Abishon has agreed to do all the talking while Coach Schwint just sits there and looks pretty in his bow tie. So come on up here, Coach Abishon, get us started.
Coach Nix mentioned that we are paid nickels, and as evidence of that being true, during our freshman football game this year at Central, someone stole my 20-year-old pickup truck off the parking lot, and they felt so bad for me that they put gas in it and gave it back. I'm not kidding. I'm going to call the freshmen up, and I'm not going to talk about each individual person because I don't want to be here all night. And they have 3 more years to accomplish great things. Let's try one thing. When I say their name, could you clap one time, like a synchronized clap? That means everybody at the same time, Levi. All right, come on up to the front here. Matt Bowman, Kieran Bly, Antoine Brown, Austin Caldwell, Tyler Crump, Dakota Evers, Brevin Garner, Nate Gibson, Dalton Giesler, Levi Gahn, Chris Hernandez, Brandon Henson, Austin Hudson, Waylon Kemper, Wes Keene, Wyatt Lamondier, Dakota McCain, Blake Moore, Kegan Pinkley, Logan Reinhardt, Robert Ringer, Bobby Seibel, Jacob Seeker, Daniel Bates, Donald Wall, Drake Wright, and our managers, Kylie Kennard and Morgan Squires. Okay, I did lie a little bit. I will say a few things about Kylie and Morgan. They were our managers, and they did an awesome job this year. They videotaped our practices, which really helped us make better decisions and fix errors as they occurred during practice that we might have missed if we hadn't had them videotaping. So I really appreciate those two. I would really like to thank the freshman parents. We had 3 weeks of camp. We had weightlifting all summer. We had some Sunday practices. And I appreciate the fact that you could taxi your kids into campus when we needed them. And it made a huge difference this year because I know what a pain it is to have to come back and forth. We greatly appreciate it. It helped us put in a lot of things that we wouldn't have been able to if we had attendance that wasn't as good as it was. I'd also like to thank Coach Schwint. He's my partner. He just doesn't let stuff go. If he sees an error, he fixes it. He comes every day ready to work, and he's got a lot of energy, and I really enjoy working with him. We try to accomplish 3 things in freshman football. We want to improve at the fundamentals of football so we can be varsity players in the future. We want to learn how to practice and play in a safe manner with limited injuries. And we want to beat the tar out of everyone on our schedule. One of the best ways to do those three things is to be stronger and in better shape than our opponents. So we learned how to lift weights last spring, and we had 2 workouts per week all summer and all fall. We even took practice time away to make sure we got our workouts in. And we were stronger than most of the teams we played this year. And I personally truly believe that when you're stronger than the other team, that's going to prevent a lot of injuries. And that's something to think about in February and in March when you're deciding if you really want to work out today. Because it makes a huge difference injury-wise. It's not going to prevent every injury. You can break a finger in PE or turn an ankle, and you can do it on the football field. But when you're stronger than the person you're going against, you can only guess who's going to get hurt most of the time. We worked a lot on tackling and blocking without using our head, and we finished the season with 0 concussions. So that was something we were really happy about. During our season, we won 6 freshman games and we lost 1. We beat 4 Class 4 teams, Windsor, Farmington, Hillsborough, and Festus, by a combined score of 186 to 54. We also beat a very good Potosi team and a very good Central team. And for the season, we averaged 43 points a game. For 9-minute quarters, that is a lot of points. We could really score fast. Coach Schwint got to the point where he would be disappointed on any play where we didn't score a touchdown. If we got a first down and 15 yards, he was in anguish on the sideline. We also shared one of the JV games with the sophomores, so I'd like to thank Coach Sherry and Coach Bonnell for letting us play with them, and it was enjoyable watching their sophomore defense hammer DeSoto while we got to play offense. So you might say we ended our season 6.5-1 or 7-1, depending on how you want to look at it. I will say one of our faults this year was before I saw the Potosi varsity play, I thought we were the worst onside kicking team around. A few of the lessons that we try to impart on the kids through our own actions and by encouraging them are, number 1, winners show up early and ready to work every day. If you show up early and you're ready to go, no matter what you're doing in life, it's going to help you be successful. Number 2, even if you don't have the role that you want to have, if you work hard in whatever role you get, we will all prosper. And number 3, to be successful in football, you have to prepare with a sense of urgency. I'm not belittling any other activity or any other sport, but it takes 22 teenage boys concentrating, working together with great intensity to run one play in practice. And I've always thought that was a really amazing thing about football. When people are willing to work together for a common goal, amazing things happen. We did a great job this year. I hope we can keep amazing things happening in the future. Thank you, men.
Thank you, Coach Abishon and Coach Schwint. Before we go any further, as you're sitting there with your full bellies, how about a round of applause for Cheryl Wolk and the kitchen staff for the fantastic meal tonight. I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank the All Sports boosters, all of you out there who have become booster members and supported all of our sports, especially to our 4 officers who basically put on this banquet and all of our other sports banquets and put together the workers list for our concession stands throughout the year, work a lot of those games at the concession stands, meet pretty often, and they do it all voluntarily. So it sounds crazy, but it's 4 great people who do it all for free, and I'm very grateful, and I know that you guys are too. So nice round of applause for our sports boosters, and especially our officers. Okay, Coach Bonnell is going to save his voice for the winter banquet, and Coach Sherry is going to do all the speaking tonight for JV football. So Coach Sherry, come on up.
I'm not much of a public speaker either, so I'm not going to be nearly as precise or enthusiastic as Coach Alvashon. Sorry about that. I'm going to call you guys up. I noticed the cheerleaders got hugs, so if you guys would like to hug Coach Bonnell, have at it. Logan Seibel. Seibel forgot to do something. That's surprising. There you go. I'm glad you figured out your name, Seibel. Gavin Roderick. Logan Grass. Nathan McQuinn. Kobe Squires. Wyatt Hahn. Zach Rhodes. Austin Brewer. Tyler Klein. Skylar Ring. Harrison Womack. By now, pick it up. David Ringwald. Morgan Shank. Ring's not here. Gabe Harmon. AJ Gons. Hunter Johnson. Logan Dowdy. Leland Hook. We can figure it out afterwards if you need to. Dalton Campbell. Cade Jett. This was the group that primarily made up the JV this year. They had to overcome kind of a lack of belief in themselves the first couple games, coupled with some really poor coaching and two pretty good teams. So we started out 0-2, and then we finished 5-2, so we won our last 5 games. A lot of it, like I said, had to do with them believing in themselves. They struggled with that early on, and then they figured out that they were better than they thought they were. A lot of potential here to go either way. With a lot of hard work, they have the potential to be contributors to a decent varsity football team next year. So it's all in your guys' hands. It was enjoyable working with you guys. Congratulations on a good year.
All right, thank you, fellas. We're going to go ahead and move on then finally to our varsity. We're going to start with Coach Weiler. He's going to speak first, and then when he's finished, Coach Dozer can come on up right after him, and then at that point we'll close out for the evening. So Coach Weiler, you're up.
Thank you. I'm going to save some of the thank yous for the latter part of the speech, and Coach Stelzer usually covers that, so I'll let him handle that. We'll be speaking about 16 athletes. The athletes I'll be speaking on behalf of are the what we call skilled athletes. I think some of our linemen are very skilled too, but we just categorize them as offensive, defensive skill athletes like linebackers and D-backs and running backs, etc. Offensively, we average slightly over 38 points a game, which I think is 5th on the all-time school history for records, so we're very proud of what they have achieved, the team. We gave up 19 points a game. We had 2 players rush for over 1,000 yards this year, which I believe is the first time that's happened in a long time. I think I saw an old football downstairs one time from 1950 whatever, maybe when Coach Stolzer played, that I think they ran a single wing. I think 3 people rushed for 1,000 yards. And I also think they went like 1 in 9, so I don't know how that happens, or 1 in whatever. So anyway, the first athlete, Anthony Rowe, only a sophomore. Anthony rushed for 1,206 yards, a great accomplishment. Scored 15 TDs on the ground. He also caught 14 passes for 247 yards, and 5 went for scores. Defensively, Anthony led the team in tackles with 78 tackles, 9 assists, 11 behind-the-line tackles, and I'm going to abbreviate as BTLs, 2 fumble recoveries, 1 interception, 1 pass breakup. Anthony was awarded second team running back. We had a lot of really good running backs in the conference. Even though our conference is not very big with 6 teams, there were at least 6 really good running backs, and also second team linebacker, and I think he probably a little bit better than that too. But next year. Joe Allen. Joe was a D-back and wide receiver. As a wide receiver, Joe had 6 catches for 65 yards and made some big catches to keep drives alive. Joe come up? Joe not here? Oh. Okay. Defensively, Joe made 11 tackles, 2 assists, 2 pass breakups. We'll look forward to Joe showing some leadership for the squad next season. Drew Smelsley. Drew pretty much mirrors Joe, as you won't see today if you don't know them, as they both played the same position and physically could pass for brothers. Drew exhibits very good hands and played well after coming off a serious knee injury last season. Drew was in on 20 tackles, 1 assist, 1 BTL, 6 pass breakups, and 2 interceptions. Drew caught 7 passes for 52 yards. Also handled our punting duties, where he averaged 27.5 yards per punt on 28 punts. Lucas Skettinger. Lucas had 16 carries for 126 yards and scored 2 TDs. Lucas may be the quickest player on the team, as he was used as a return specialist. Lucas also had 10 kickoff returns for 16.2 average, along with 3 punt returns for an 18.3 average. Defensively, Lucas was in on 27 tackles, 5 assists, 2 behind-line tackles, 1 interception, 2 pass breakups from his outside linebacker position. And I think he missed a few games because of injury. Andrew DeRouche. Good, I'm glad he's here. It was noted to me after our game with Park Hills that the KTJJ referred to him as Mighty Mouse DeRouse. For his active play on defense, of course. So Mighty Mouse was in on 21 tackles, 4 assists, 1 BTL, 1 fumble recovery, 1 interception, and 4 pass breakups. Andrew also had 5 catches for 43 yards and averaged 20.8 yards on the kickoff returns, and did a very good job on the kickoff returns as well. Brandon LaRose. Brandon missed the latter part of the season with a shoulder injury. During his play, he rushed 6 times for 33 yards and 1 TD. Also started outside linebacker, where he recorded 20 tackles, 5 assists, 1 BTL, 1 interception, and 1 block kick. Brady Isbell. Okay, Brady was hurt frequently during the season, as he often played faster than his body would allow. Brady took upon himself to cherish his role as a specialty teams player, and he recorded 6 tackles and had 1 assist. Brady always went hard in drills to make himself and his teammates better. Tate Meyer. Tate was just defining his role when a shoulder injury took him out of for the year. Tate had 3 catches for 18 yards and was starting to play some outside linebacker. He was in on 10 tackles, 1 assist, 2 behind-line tackles, and 1 pass breakup. Okay, I think that's the juniors. Seniors, Jacob Kemper. Joe, Uncle Joe. A little press. Jacob was a great asset to have on the team. He contributed a lot on our scout teams wherever we needed, and on Friday nights he backed up our starting safety. Jacob participated as well on specialty teams. He was in on 7 tackles and 1 assist. Clayton Nagger. Clayton did our kicking chores where he made 54 of 58 extra points and made a long field goal of 40 yards. His kickoff average places him number 3 on the all-time list, which is 52.5 yards per kick. Clayton led the receivers with 357 yards on 18 catches, and 6 of them went for touchdowns. Clayton received second-team wide receiver and second-team kicker. Antonio Davis. Antonio gets the best dressed. And looks like one of our administrators today. Antonio was a very good team player. He played receiver and outside linebacker. Antonio was a huge asset for our specialty teams. He recorded 5 tackles, 2 were behind the line tackles. And Wyatt Fleeg, number 84 in your program, but number 1 in your heart. Where's he at? There he is. I think Wyatt was hurt too. Wyatt also sustained a concussion and was out during the latter part of the season. Wyatt was a kamikaze on specialty teams where he recorded 6 tackles, 1 BTL, and had 1 big interception. George Stiegel. George was a starting tight end and inside linebacker. Defensively, he was in on 50 tackles, 8 assists, had a couple BTLs, 1 interception, 1 pass breakup. George offensively had 4 catches for 34 yards and 1 TD, and due to his linebacker play, he was awarded honorable mention linebacker. And cousin Lucas, one of the 3 Stiegels. Lucas was also a tight end linebacker, and he really came on at the linebacker position, especially as the season progressed. Lucas was in on 22 tackles, 5 assists, 2 behind the line tackles. And offensively, Lucas had 2 catches for 40 yards. Matt Jury. Matt was our leader on offense as he made checks from his quarterback position when needed. Matt did a great job running our read option offense. Offensively, Matt ran for 342 yards for a 3.5 average and 1 TD. Passing-wise, Matt completed 60% of his passes for 1,082 yards, 14 TDs, and only threw 5 interceptions. Matt earned all-conference first-team quarterback with Aaron Vincent from Potosi, and also earned second-team D-back, and I think some of these guys will also get some recognition real soon from the all-region team. Brendan Dallas, the last one on my list. Brendan played safety and running back. As a safety, Brendan was in on 30 tackles, 3 assists, 1 BTL, 3 interceptions, and 3 pass breakups. On offense, Brendan moved up the career all-time rushing record list to the number 3 spot with 1,650 yards on 221 carries, which is a very good average of 7.5 a carry. He logged 31 touchdowns via the run. Receiving-wise, Brendan caught 17 passes for 226 yards and 2 TDs. He earned first-team all-conference running back and honorable mention D-back and should get some awards down the road. I'd like to thank all the coaches, the parents for letting us work with their sons. A great group of kids that we had this year. They worked hard. You know, they're never out of line. I don't think a lot of schools can say that. We very, very seldom ever have issues. Our biggest issue is probably when they come 15 minutes before they shoot on Friday night because they get there too early. That's the worst thing we probably have most years. Special thanks to our student coaches, Tyson Roth, and another St. Genevieve German name, Joey Lewandowski. Sorry, Joey. I would like to congratulate the team on their fine season. I would also like to congratulate Coach Stolzer on his 200 wins in just 25 seasons. The ironic comparison is that 200 wins over 25 seasons is 8 wins a year, and I believe our record was 8 wins and 4 losses. Is that right? We were very blessed again to coach this outstanding group. Thank you.
Okay, just a few thank yous before I introduce the linemen, or the unskilled, as Coach Weiler put them. First off, I'd like to thank the assistant coaches for the time they put in. Our graduate assistant coaches, Coach Lewandowski and Coach Roth. Tyson, of course, finished playing for us last year. Outstanding playing career. And Joey Lewandowski played down at Fredericktown a few years ago. Was a real fine football player for those guys. Joey approached me last winter sometime, and he's wanting to get into coaching. He's pursuing an education degree right now, and asked if he could help us out. And of course, I think no one will turn down free help or whatever, even paid help. But then, of course, Tyson started showing up earlier, and so we started talking about Tyson, if he was interested in helping. And like I said, these guys put in a lot of time on their own. They had to undergo a coaching class that Coach Nix coordinated with the state association. So it wasn't like these guys just showed up to help. They had to undergo I wouldn't say rigorous training or mind bending, was it? It was more time consuming than anything, but nonetheless, they went through some painstaking things in order to help us coach. So guys, appreciated the help that you guys gave us this past year, and you're certainly more than welcome to stick around and do it. I'd like to thank the players, the respect that you guys show, and the effort you give are very highly commendable. Great group of young men. I'd like to thank our administration for their support, Coach Nix for the great job working hand in hand with me on everything, the media for giving our kids the recognition they deserve, the moms for feeding these kids before the games. I know that Mrs. Fligg, Julie Fligg, was kind of the coordinator for that, but she had several moms helping her out. They fed the kids on a weekly basis before the games, kind of a pre-game meal, or if we were getting on the road right after school somewhere, they had them sack lunches, and that's really a neat thing that the kids can have. So really like to thank the moms for that. I'd like to thank cheerleaders, gals. I know you're cheering at the games and stuff like that, but the things that I see hanging around the school, the paintings on the windows, the things on the kids' lockers, all that stuff is all noticed, so don't stop doing that, girls. I think the players appreciate that, and I certainly do the things that you do for our players. And anyone who helps with the games, our chain gang, medical personnel. I think Rick Dury even traveled to all of our games. Guys who film our games, who do our stats, just about anyone, or actually anyone who does anything to help with this football program, I sincerely appreciate, as do the other coaches. I hate to list this person and that person, because as soon as I start doing that, then I miss somebody, and I certainly don't want to do that. And, not last or leastly or whatever, but parents, thanks, like Coach Weiler echoed, or I'm echoing what he said. Thanks for sending us respectable kids you've raised. Got a great group of young men here this year. I know that whenever they come to us as freshmen or whatever year they come out for football, we don't sit them down and say, you guys are going to listen to us, you're going to do what we say, you're not going to do this and that. We may go over a few minor do's and don'ts at the beginning of the season, but as far as being fine young men, we don't take them out there and say, okay, we're going to teach you guys how to be fine young men today. We're too busy trying to teach them to be football players. So parents, just keep doing the job you're doing with your kids. Very, very respectable bunch of young men. Okay, I'm going to get on with introducing the linemen. Okay, first off, number 50, Captain Devin Brown. Okay, Devin was a two-way starter for us this year. He started every game at left offensive guard and defensive end, and it's kind of how quickly time flies. I can remember 4 years ago, Devin, you started that game against Dexter, didn't you, as a freshman? We were having little personnel, I'm not going to say problems, but we were looking for the right combination. Anyway, Devin had some promise, so I wouldn't call it if we made a mistake. I guess more of an experiment than anything, but we started Devin against Dexter, who was pretty good at that time, and you learned some valuable lessons at that time, didn't you, Devin? I'm sure he'll never forget that. Put him in there, and it just so happened Dexter had a real good defensive lineman that year, and it just worked out that he was across from Devin. And I would say, but you kind of got to eat up that night, didn't you, Devin? There's a big difference. Ask Wyatt Lawman. There's a big difference between freshman ball and varsity ball, isn't there? he got his ears wet. We moved him up after the freshmen were done playing, and some of the games where we were ahead and could play everybody, he got in a few plays, and suddenly they were putting a hammer on you, weren't they? Those guys are pretty big and quick. But anyway, like I said, how fast time flies. Devin grew and improved. He kind of got the snot beat out of him as a freshman, but I think this past year he kind of got a little bit of revenge there. Like I said, he grew and improved throughout his high school career. He earned second team all-conference honors as an offensive guard this season. And defensively, Devin had 48 primaries, 9 assists, 7 behind-the-line tackles, and 2 fumble recoveries. And that play earned him first team all-conference defensive end on that side of the ball. Number 51, Kellen Stiegel. Okay, Kellen was a starting center for us the last 2 years. He's never tiring worker, one of these regular faces in the weight room. He's a thinker, and I guess he's a debater. DJ, I got to ask you, whenever you've ever been trying to teach him anything, does he ever say, well, Dad, did you ever think about doing it like this, or would this work better? Does he do that with you? Okay, well, that's, as a parent, you should have taught him not to do that, so I wouldn't have a fool with that. We'd be going over blocking schemes or something like that, and you can always see the wheels rolling in there. And there were a few times this year where he actually did make some sense. Usually I'd just say, Stiegel, turn around and just do what you're supposed to do. But he's always looking for the edge and willing to do anything to make himself better. Kellen was a second team all-conference the last 2 seasons. This season, as things progressed and I saw how he improved, I thought, man, he's going to make it first team this year. But it just so happened that probably 3 of the best offensive linemen in the conference were centers this past year. So at the all-conference meeting a week or 2 ago, looked, and sure enough, there those 3 guys are. And even though Kellen was only named a second team center, I think all 3 of those guys, at least you weren't the honorable mention choice at center there. So, it would have been great if we could have had a tie for all 3 of them, because those were some 3 good linemen. But, I don't care if you're honorable mention, second team, or what. It's nothing to hang your head about if you're not first team. Kellen wasn't probably the fastest lineman we've had the past years. In fact, it was a hindrance to him. In fact, I guess as a team, we didn't have a lot of great team speed, and I think that really hurt us a lot defensively and on the offensive side of the ball too. Football is really based on a lot of speed and quickness, and although we were big up front, we didn't possess that great team speed. And Kellen was probably not one of the, I wouldn't say you were the slowest. I think if we lined you and Coach Ryler up, you'd probably beat him. But like I said, whatever Kellen lacked in speed, he made up in determination. He wasn't going to let it hold him back. But he was very good at snapping the ball last couple of years. If Matt would be back in a shotgun position, he'd hit him back. Of course, I got to give Matt a lot of credit for that, because if Kellen would be getting them anywhere where they would, Matt would be coaching him. Kellen, you get a little to the right, get a little to the left, or get it up a little bit more. And how come you never debated with him on anything? You just listen in. He's a quarterback, okay. But anyway, he's very good at snaps, shotgun, or under center, but he really made himself in the offensive lineman he was through work in the weight room. Number 54, Tim Swigert. Tim not here tonight? Okay, Tim's going to be one of these guys who hopefully will vie for a starting position next year. Number 58, Jesse DeRouche. Jesse didn't make it either tonight. Number 61, Aaron Stupi. I know Aaron would be here tonight. I'll never forget Aaron coming out for weightlifting as an 8th grader. I guess, did you start earlier than that, Aaron? Did you start as an 8th grade? He was down there lifting on his own or whatever, and we'd always bring the 8th graders in later, but Aaron would come down and start lifting, and I remember thinking, what is this little pudge ever going to amount to? Because, he was a little softy and a lot slowy, but he continued coming and getting in the weight room and continued working hard every year and developed himself into a player. Aaron's one of those players that lacked speed, but made up for it in work ethics. Coach Weiler and I often talked about how we both wished Aaron had more speed because he had everything else needed. Anytime you need anything from Aaron, he was there. Did a great job on special teams, and we needed him to long snap or play center. He got the job done. He was a hitter at linebacker, but just lacked the speed. Aaron's one of those players who might not have been all this or all that right now, but somewhere down the road I see him being in the spotlight in whatever profession he chooses to pursue, because no matter what it is, he always gives his best and will be successful. Number 62, Ryan Schwint. Okay, Ryan's one of these guys that never says anything but just goes on about his business. He was one of our backup offensive guards and D linemen this year. He's one of our guards on the kickoff team, and when we played DeSoto this year, why they did it, I don't know, but they were onside kicking right at him. Swinney came off the sideline and said, "Coach, their kicker was eyeing me up. I knew he was going to kick it to me." And we'll practice this stuff. We try and be prepared for anything that we may or may not see in a football game, and a lot of times when we're working on kickoff returns, we'll squib kick to the front guys there to see if they can catch the ball. And normally, I guess in practice, you always just brought your thumbs, right? You never had your fingers on your hands, because you could kick it to them all day and they would miss it. They'd squib out from underneath them, but DeSoto tried repeatedly onside kicking to him this year, but he grabbed up everyone. Looked like Ozzie Smith at shortstop out there, but really did a good job. He recovered those onside kicks and set our offense up in good position, good field position. And then Derek James got hurt in the first quarter of our last game. Ryan did a good job of going and replacing him in the last game in a real tough ball game. Number 63, Kevin Smith. Okay, Kevin didn't make it either. Okay, 67, Ryan Kemper. Sleepy's here. Okay, this is Mr. Huge. Ryan started some games for this past season at D-line when we needed to beef up the front. He played scout team a lot for us, and again, you folks who don't know, say that we're playing Park Hills. We get 11 kids to mimic either their offense or defense, and that's what our first team offense or defense runs. Again, a lot of times Ryan would be on the defensive scout team when we worked on offense, and our kids just absolutely couldn't block him. We'd chew on him and get after him. After our kids, well, they just couldn't block him, so we thought, well, heck, if they can't block him, maybe nobody else can. So when we got to play in a running team, Kemper usually got the green light to get out there, but he did a good job, and we utilized him when we could. Ryan ended up with 7 primary tackles and 1 assist. Number 69, Derek James. Okay, Derek's one of the most improved players on the team this season. His improvements rewarded him by being named on the all-conference team, first team offensive guard. Derek played some defense for us too this year. He had 6 primary and 5 tackles through the course of the season. Derek fundamentally got better each week as the season progressed, and I think it's the hard work that Derek had in the weight room that made him the player he is. He went to very average player last year to a first-team all-conference, and again, this should serve as an inspiration to you younger guys. You know, if Derek can do it in 1 year like that, you know, you guys get after it. It's a goal to shoot and to achieve. Number 72, Logan Geck. Okay, Logan tore his ACL last year in PE, and he worked himself back into playing shape. We needed some holes to fill in the offensive line this year, and we talked to Logan. He very unselfishly moved from tight end to offensive tackle to strengthen our O-line. He did a good job there, but his best was on defense, where he had 25 primary tackles, 7 assists, 7 behind the line tackles, and 2 fumble recoveries, and 1 swatted down pass. Anyway, his defensive end efforts earned him a berth on a second-team all-conference team as a defensive end. Number 73, Captain Luke Hemmerlaw. Okay, Luke was Mr. Hard Worker himself, one of several of these seniors who worked their tails off to get better. Always a smile on his face and always asking how your day went. I don't know if he's just that caring of a young man or if he's nosy. Usually every day while I'd be stretching, I'd be walking around talking to the kids or stepping on them or doing whatever, and Luke would always ask, Coach, how was your day? Are you that caring, or are you just nosy, or nobody else will talk to you, or what?
No else will talk.
Okay. Luke was a two-way starter for us. Defensively, he had 26 primary, 8 assisted tackles with 4 that was behind the line and 1 fumble recovery. But what really stood out was his play on offense, where he was one of the few unanimous all-conference choices at offensive tackle. So that meant that every coach in the conference voted for him as being one of the best 2 tackles in the conference. Luke, I have to say, I didn't vote for you. I couldn't, otherwise I would have. You can't vote for your own players in the all-conference voting, but anyway, he was an all-conference selection there last year, like I said, unanimously this year. Number 75, Zach Jamerson. Okay, Zach was our defensive specialist. He had 46 primary, 13 assisted tackles, 9 of those behind the line, along with 2 fumble recoveries. Zach has and had the attitude of a defensive lineman. He was one of the few guys who would, when things got going tough, you'd see a little bit of anger or attitude with him or whatever, and I certainly think that helped his play. That earned him a position in the all-conference team as a first-team defensive lineman. Number 78, Chase Lindsay. Okay, Chase was one of our backups at offensive and defensive lines. He was in the process of getting better each week of the last few weeks of the season. And then the last play of practice, one day he dislocated his shoulder, and that put him out for about the last 3 games. He's got the attitude of a player, and if he works hard in the off-season, Chase, you could possibly push for a starting job next fall. Number 79, Tayon Fleeg. I'm finally getting to know where I can tell Tayon and Wyatt apart. And now they go ahead and graduate. Tayon finally grew into the size of a player, but had been hampered by a bad knee. He hurt as a youngster, I think, on trampoline, Fleeg? Is that how you hurt that? How many years ago was that? You've been doing that, running around like that since what, middle school? Where?
6 years ago.
6 years ago. Anyway, the knee hampered him off and on. You know, it's tough. He'd get going, possibly be able to play or fill in the playing position, and then his knee would start bothering him. But anyway, now football's over, I think he's going to get that fixed, and hopefully it will be good as new. Our managers this year, we had Lizzie Brown, Jessica Finley, and Cassie Fleeg. Come on up, girls. You know, we've had young ladies, we had a few guys off and on, but for the most part, our managers have all been young ladies the last several years, and it's not just to give the guys something to look at practice, but these girls actually do a very good job. No matter what you ask them to do, it's never too dirty or whatever for the girls. They always do a good job. I think Lizzie and Jessie both have committed to softball next year. Is that right, girls?
Not me.
Huh?
Me.
Just you? I thought Lizzie, I thought you said you were okay. So we'll have Cassie and Lizzie back next year. But girls did a good job this year, and I thank them for that. Okay, guys, you can go ahead and sit down. Okay, give out the awards. These are the awards voted on by the players themselves. It's not like coaches picking or us coaches or media picking this year. All these awards that we're about to announce are voted on by the kids themselves and certainly have a lot of merit, meaning they should anyway, to the kids. Okay, first off, our outstanding offensive lineman for 2013 is Derek James. Okay, outstanding defensive lineman, Zach Jamerson. Outstanding offensive back, Brendan Dallas. Outstanding defensive back, Matt Drury. Outstanding linebacker, Anthony Rowe. Romeo, you also moved up into the top 20 all-time tacklers. You didn't know that, did you? You need to shoot for number 1. You're just a pup sophomore. Number 6, outstanding special teams. No surprise, Clayton Nager. You know, Clayton kicked a 40-yard field goal for us this year, and talking to Coach Nix, I guess the day after that game, wanted to know if that's a new record. And, you know, field goals in high school are not near as prevalent as college ranks or especially professional ball. So it's something that we haven't kept records of, but as far as I know, several years, Clayton, you've got the record, and that's something to behold. That'll take a while for that to be good. Okay, most improved player, Andrew DeRouche, or is it Mighty Mouse? DeRouche, you don't even know who Mighty Mouse is, do you? Huh, not really? I'll go through my old comic books and see if I can find a Mighty Mouse cartoon book or comic book and give that to you, so you've probably been branded with the nickname Mighty Mouse. Okay, Hustle Award, Luke Hemmerla. Luke only knew one way to go, and that was bust his can as hard as he could go, no matter what he was doing. That's your day. Okay, the next 2 awards were for most valuable players. First off, most valuable lineman is voted on by his peers, Devin Brown. And the most valuable back, Brendan Dallas. You guys, on your letter certificates, your varsity letter certificates, make sure your bar or your star or your football, whatever it was, is taped on the back of those things. So be careful and don't lose those things. Otherwise, you have to be begging Coach Nix for that. Congratulations, guys, and that'll be it. That's it for now. Hey, seniors, when we're done tonight, come up. I've got you guys some keychains too, okay?
You got you something.
You got me something.
Looks like we got a present for the coaches here. There we go. Okay, you guys got to move so everybody else can see it too. It's a stone football on top of a little base there, and on the base it has an SG in green, and a 2013. That's pretty neat. That's a great gift. Okay, Mr. Engler, if you don't mind coming on up. He's up here already. Here you go, like a ninja. Mr. Engler is our representative in this part of the state, our state representative, and we asked Mr. Engler to come here tonight to make a presentation with Coach Stolzer in his 200th win. So I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Engler at this point. How about a nice round of applause for Representative Engler?
Thank you. I always take the applause going in because you never know if you're going to get it going out. So like old home week here. Coach Sweat worked for my campaign last year. He probably doesn't like to admit that. I'd like to say that he really believed in me and believed in my campaign. Truth was, he probably needed a few extra bucks. But if you need somebody that can put up signs, there's the man. And then over here, you're lucky this isn't a roast. I've known Coach over here for a long time, since he was their first or second grade over in Farmington, and known him so long, I remember I used to shave my head, and I was bald, and you had hair, and now it's gone, and mine's gray. So that's okay, though. Remember, if you go bald in front, they say that you're a thinker. And if you go bald in back, you're a lover. And if you go bald all over, then you just think you're a lover, right? So, okay. I threw that in for extra, it's not getting much better. You know, it takes a lot to win 200 games. I mean, a lot. You can do that in some sports because you play a lot more games. But at first, I mean, you've got to be a head coach at a pretty early age. You've got to be consistent. You have to have winning season after winning season after winning season after winning season. And most of all, you have to be really old. I met Coach when I was 14. I was best friends with his cousin, and we got to go to watch SEMO football. And it was really something because my friend's cousin was playing, and he was an offensive lineman. And this was before roids, and you were huge. What'd you weigh, about 80 pounds more than you do today? I bet pretty close. He was huge. And he was a gentleman then, and he's a gentleman today. And he was fun taking us around, showing us around, and it was good, trying to recruit early, even though we were in junior high, and then your cousin actually played there for a while, and I turned down to play at SEMO and went and played baseball at Southwest, which was an interesting experience too. But I was a pitcher there. I know a lot of you Cardinals just got finished, and you've got closers and middlemen. I was what they called a twofer pitcher. I pitched when it was too far behind or too far ahead to matter. So, but I've known Coach forever, and it's probably good that what I've been hearing lately, I had Coach Holman in Festus, played football for him, and my gosh, if these guys think they're being hazed and bullied now, Coach, I'm getting Coach Holman retired early because it was an interesting thing. He called it character building, and I remember that very vividly, and it did build character. And it was an honor to play for him. I'm sure it was an honor to play for Coach Stolzer. Well, when you've coached as well as you have for as long as you have, and you get to 200 wins, we thought it was appropriate to give you a resolution from the state of Missouri, and I won't do all the whereases and therefores, but I would like to, if you would stand up, Coach. This is from the State Missouri House of Representatives. Whereas the members of the Missouri House of Representatives always welcome the opportunity to acknowledge milestone events in the lives and the careers of Show Me State educators who admirably ensure the high school sports teams embody the highest characteristics of sportsmanship, teamwork, training, and perseverance throughout the competitive season. And whereas Robert Stolzer of St. Genevieve, Missouri has attained considerable distinction as the head football coach, and whereas on November 6th, 2013, this is kind of interesting because we were going to do it for the night of the game, and this is something I didn't. They would not do a resolution for me until you won the 200th game. I don't know if they've been burnt before by some coach that was at 199 and just was stalled, and they'd already printed the resolution and did it. But they waited, and the next day they printed this for me that on November 6th, 2013, he received his 200th win as head football coach in a 39-21 win against Potosi High. And whereas, also known as the loving father of Brent, Carrie, and Kellen. And whereas it's fitting and proper the Missouri House of Representatives should pause in its diverse daily activities to recognize such outstanding Missourians as Robert Stolzer in this momentum times in his life. Now therefore it be resolved that we, the member of the Missouri House of Representatives, 19th General Assembly, join unanimously to applaud the personal and professional accomplishments garnered thus far in the life and work of Robert Stolzer. Congratulations. Thank you very much. Good job. Thanks, Kevin. Thanks for coming. Appreciate it.
Like I told somebody the other day, if there was a lot of money involved in me winning 200 games, yes, I'd be here. Yep, it's me, all right. But, you know, it's not. It takes a lot to be successful in any sport, I guess. But we've been blessed like that around here at St. Genevieve. The players, you guys, freshmen, I guess you guys can't say you took part in that yet, but the other guys, we've been doing this for 25 years. I've been a head coach, I guess, for 25 years now, and that's kind of unheard of in the coaching world nowadays. I don't know if people just get so used to doing something they can't leave it or what, but I think something more unheard of is two guys being together for that long coaching. So, foo-foo. Coach Wilder. You know, Coach Wilder and I have been together for 25 years, and a lot of this success is attributed by him. You know, I feel real blessed to have a coach like him. He's been the offensive coordinator for 25 years, and, you know, when we get together and talk about what we're going to do this week, I don't say, well, we need to do this or that. I just ask him what we're going to run this week, and there's not many coaches can say that, I think. I think any successful program that you see, it does have a right-hand man or a lot of people behind the scenes, and, you know, of course, I will be the first to admit that or whatever, but Coach and I have been together for 25 years, and maybe I'm starting to wonder if he likes me or something. But anyways, thanks a lot for everyone. Players, all the assistant coaches that I've had, and I haven't had all that many. I mean, we've had a few down through the years, but you know, I think continuity is a big part of it. I was thinking earlier here that you know, some of the guys sitting up here at this table, I've coached Coach Schwint a few years ago, and of course Tyson here, Joey, if you would have been around here, would have coached you, and Coach Sherry, I coached him, and Coach Bonnell, I remember playing against him, and even Coach Weiler, I coached him back many years ago. I started out in high school ranks down off the hill there, and back in 1979, I started out here and spent about 10 years in as assistant, and then took over in 1989, and Coach Wilder came up and joined me, and it kind of, the rest has been history. But we haven't had a real big turnover in coaches, and I think that's real important for continuity of a program. The kids come up, approach the program, and I think they pretty well know what to expect. And I think, you know, I'm not going to say repetition gets old, but you know, I think a lot of the things that we continue to do, we've been doing for a long time, and I think we try and change when change does need it. I know as crazy as offenses have gotten nowadays, defenses have had to change, so that's always crazy. But anyway, it's been a lot of fun, and thank y'all very much. Kevin, thanks for coming over and presenting me with this, okay? Thank y'all.
Thank you, Mr. Engler, and thank you, Coach, for your 200 wins. And if any of you guys had a chance after that Potosi game to listen to the J98 tribute that they did to Coach Stolzer, it was a fantastic tribute put together by Glenn Johnson over there. He did a tremendous job on that. Just a few things before we take off this evening. I want to do a couple of thank yous of my own. The coaches handle most of the thank yous, and I just try to kind of pick up where they, in some areas that they didn't. I want to thank Brian Kreider and Dean Gamage. They're the guys, the head guys that lead the custodians after the football games, that go out and clean literally after thousands of people sometimes. I mean, if you can imagine cleaning up after homecoming and the Valley game and things like that. They have to go out and do that. So I appreciate their help, and they're setting up for the banquet tonight with the tables and so forth. I want to thank Mr. Mercer and Mr. Haney for their support throughout this year, as well as the other administrative staff. And of course my wife for allowing me to be gone so long without leaving me yet, so hopefully that doesn't happen. But I want to thank her for tolerating me, basically. And at that point, go ahead and take out your 50-50 tickets if you have any. We'll do 50-50 and head out after that. The winner this evening of $48, if you have your ticket, just bring it up front with you. Ticket number 410610. Either somebody won or somebody got goosed. 410610. If you have the winning ticket, bring it up with you. And then, before we leave, the banners. By the way, the 50-50 at the banquets and the banner raffles, those go toward a scholarship. Our booster officers decided a few years ago to start earmarking that money that we make at 50-50 and the banners for a scholarship, one for one senior boy and one for one senior girl. So this goes to a tremendous cause. The Emerald banner, when you guys get your picture taken here shortly, we'll have an Emerald banner at the winter banquet for you guys to raffle off as well. But the cheer banner, and you just grab it and take it with you tonight if you are the winner. Georgia McCraney. Congratulations, Georgia. And the football banner. Again, grab it and take it with you. Only if you are the winner. Fleek thinks it's him back there, I can see. Wyatt thinks it's him. Tayon Fleek. You guys will have to share it, I guess. Ladies and gentlemen, have a great night. Thank you for coming.